What the heck happened there?
Fell.
That's not good. Look at my knee's bad too. We're knee brothers.
Truly's like the most important person to me, and I would trust him wholeheartedly to protect her.
On behalf of all the knee brothers, can we just talk about that side hug between David and Truly? You know, the one where she leans into it like she's known him her whole life. Yeah, that made me smile too. It's clear Isabel sees how comfortable Truly is with David, and honestly, I think that's helping her with her own relationship with him. Christine really hit the jackpot there. And sure, Christine's probably a catch too, but let's be real, it's not hard to fall for a guy who's in it for the fame, right? Perfect match, honestly. And let's not forget Truly. The kid deserves a solid, stable father figure in her life. David's kind of the gold standard for that. He's got this stepdad vibe that just screams genuine. I mean, he rides a Harley and looks like someone you'd avoid on the street. But if you can get past that tough guy exterior, he's actually a total teddy bear. Seriously, the guy's a joy to be around. He's got this easygoing attitude, no pressure, just letting people be themselves. If that's not the kind of guy you want in your life, I don't know who is. Yo, what's up everyone? Welcome back to ThreadoraTalks, where the conversations are always next level. I'm your host, Jenna, and today, we're turning things up a notch. Trust me, this is one video you do not want to miss, so let's dive right in. Robyn's reaction to the news was telling, to say the least. Look, I'm not exactly a super fan of the show, but I do have my reasons for not liking her, and this moment just drove it home. It wasn't even the stuff I've already seen about her. No, it was her comments on the last episode that made me realize just how problematic she really is. So Robyn claims that when Kody called her with the news, her first reaction was to support him. She was all like, "What? What happened?" I'm not rewatching it, so don't quote me on the exact wording, but that's the gist of it. Meanwhile, the other wives, the ones who've been around forever, were reacting like actual people. They were devastated. They were sobbing over memories of Garrison, remembering his favorite things, grabbing food, and heading straight to Janelle. The kids had been checking in on Kody. Janelle was on the phone with him all day. But Robyn? Not a single thought or comment about the other kids, Janelle or Garrison himself. It was all about supporting Kody. It struck me that she didn't view the OG 13 as her kids. They were just Kody's kids. So for Robyn, the loss was Kody losing one of his sons, not them losing a son together. Everyone else was grieving as a family except Robyn. Her world only seemed to revolve around Kody's grief. I get it, she's not the mom. But still, this felt like another glaring reminder that she never really saw herself as part of that family. It wasn't that she didn't care about Garrison or his siblings. It's that her relationship with them was never deep enough for her to even express any real emotion. And sure, she knew Garrison for 10 years, since he was a teenager. She should have had something to say, but nope. It was like she just wasn't integrated into the family the way the other wives were. It's like she always saw herself as a stepmom, Kody's wife, and that's it. Honestly though, I was almost relieved she didn't try to outgrieve anyone, which I half expected. I mean, Garrison himself didn't exactly have warm feelings for Robyn. He told family members he didn't like her and didn't want anything to do with her. So her not trying to act like she was deeply affected by his passing? Yeah, I'm fine with that. It would have been way worse if she'd started talking about him like they had some special bond. But here's the thing. While it's easy to see her reaction as cold or distant, I think it was actually pretty honest, for once. She didn't have a relationship with Garrison. They didn't like each other. And that, I think, says it all about how Robyn was never really part of the OG 13 dynamic. She wasn't a mom like Christine, Janelle, or Meri. She was a stepmom, Kody's wife, and that was about it. And this moment made that painfully clear. Okay, so the producers really nailed this episode, right? The transition from lighthearted fun to the Garrison drama was chef's kiss, just perfection. They were all living their best lives, and then bam, tragedy strikes. It's like they wanted to remind us that life can flip on a dime. Very touching. I appreciate that they let us peek into their lives, even if it's a little uncomfortable sometimes. And hey, bonus points for raising awareness about serious issues like suicide and alcoholism. But let's talk about the real debate here, fence hopping. I'm totally Team Christine on this one. Honestly, I was right there with her. Imagine it. The kids are watching their cool grandpa hop over a rickety old fence like it's no big deal. What happens when it's just Christine and the twins? She turns her back for a second, and suddenly one kid's helping the other over the fence. That's called thinking ahead, folks, what caretakers should be doing. That fence was barely standing, let alone safe for anyone to climb. But sure, let's encourage the little ones to test their luck. Now, Team David is out here with the kids won't try it, just because they saw an adult do it once argument. Oh, sure, kids never mimic what adults do, right? They're totally immune to that. And yeah, maybe they'll be sensible and not try to climb it. Or maybe one will decide it's a great idea. You know, because kids are totally rational. But hey, as long as an adult is watching, everything will be fine, right? No big deal, just a fence that looks like it could collapse any minute. Wow, where do I even begin with Gabe after last night's episode? I mean, I don't want to come off as one of those weird, parasocial people who gets all proud of someone I don't actually know, but here I am, feeling genuinely proud of him. It feels a little odd, I admit, but it's the truth. Now, I can't say for sure that he's as tough as he seemed on screen. Maybe he was just putting on a brave face for the cameras. But damn, the guy's impressive. Kind, generous, articulate, and just solid. I can't even begin to imagine discovering my brother the way he did. We all saw the police report. His nightmare is something I wouldn't wish on anyone. As a mother myself, my heart swelled with love for Gabe. I spent the whole morning crying while watching that episode. And when he spoke about his brother, you could just feel the love in his words. It's also clear that Janelle, Christine, and Meri really gave their kids something special. And Garrison, it's crystal clear how loved he was. Watching that, it made me think about all the people out there who've experienced loss. It definitely stirred up some of my own grief. Honestly, this episode was a tough watch. It hurt, but Gabe's moment on screen was when I completely lost it. I've been there. I've struggled with my own mental health, and I almost did the same thing as Garrison. If you haven't been in that dark place, it's hard to explain just how convincing your brain can be when it's trying to pull you under. This episode, for all the controversy about airing it, was so important. It showed just how much Garrison was loved, how his family saw he was struggling, and how they tried to help. If we could treat mental health like we do cancer, something that's out of our control, that takes over us, I think we'd all be in a much better place. If you're struggling, please don't keep it to yourself. It's okay to ask for help. It's not weakness. Listening to Gabe, Janelle, and Meri speak from the heart was especially heartbreaking. And when Christine shared Garrison's favorite quote, I honestly couldn't breathe. It took me back to losing my own brother 3 years ago. The whole thing was just so raw, so real. To anyone who's ever felt that kind of pain, I'm sending you love. You're not alone. Robyn is irredeemable. Let me just get that out of the way. I've never liked her, ever. But I thought, maybe, just maybe, she'd show some humanity when the news of Garrison's passing came up. Honestly, I was expecting her to fall apart, maybe even cry so hard Kody had to scrape her off the floor. Instead, what did we get? A complete lack of emotion. She had a bigger meltdown over losing her precious porch dream than she did over a child in the family passing away. And in such a tragic way, no less. I didn't even know that was possible. I expected her to at least act like she was part of the family. Maybe like Kody's girlfriend or one of his buddies would. But no, she's been his wife for, what, 14, 15 years? She watched Garrison grow up. And what was her reaction to the news? A dry, what? And then some concern for Kody. like he was the one who needed consoling. Did she even bother reaching out to Janelle? Any of the kids? At the bare minimum, she could have said something, anything, kind to Janelle. But nope, her one-on-one with Kody by the fire? It was like watching a bot try to process emotions. Empty. It was a whole lot of nothing. Earlier in the season, she was all about telling Kody to camp out on their doorstep and fix his relationships with the kids. But did she ever say to him, go call Janelle, go check on Gabe, go see how the kids are holding up? No, of course not. Look, I get that the family dynamic is a hot mess and there's tons of bad blood, but I would have actually respected her if she at least pretended to give a damn. Instead, I can't shake the feeling that she's holding a grudge against Garrison and the boys for the whole COVID debacle, and is just not even trying to make amends. And let's not forget how she threw Kody's conversation with Aspen under the bus, calling it a confrontation. Seriously, after her cold reaction to Garrison's death, don't even try to tell me she hasn't been a big part of the reason Kody and his kids are so estranged. Her mask is off, folks. It honestly seemed like her reaction was more about her fear that Kody might blame her than any real grief over Garrison. It's textbook codependency. She's so attached to Kody that her whole existence revolves around managing his feelings. Who knows what's going on behind her eyes, though? I'm not a fan of Robyn, but I do get her. She reminds me a lot of my mom in some ways. Immature, insecure, completely dependent on Kody, and that panic mode she went into in this episode. Yeah, it makes sense when you look at it through that lens. She was in full damage control mode, trying to cover her own butt because deep down, she knew she's never really cared for any of the original 13. The saddest part? The viewers cared more about Garrison than she did. Let's be honest here, no matter what she did, Robyn was going to get dragged. If she cried, people would call it fake. If she didn't cry, she was heartless. Honestly, she's the one who created this situation with her cold behavior toward the OG family, and nothing she could have done would have been right. And look, maybe this makes me a terrible person, but I hope Robyn felt as uncomfortable and unwelcome as she made the kids and wives feel after Garrison's passing and the memorial. Because frankly, she deserves it. Janelle and her sister had an honest, grounded conversation about Garrison, and it was clear they'd done their processing. Even though Janelle has her tough days, wondering if she could have done more, she seems to be in a healthy place overall. She's accepted things for what they are. It's such a contrast to Kody and Robyn's dynamic. Kody is clearly wrestling with what went wrong with his relationship with Garrison, what he could have done better, and how he hopes to improve with his other kids. But when he's opening up to Robyn, she just casually says, everyone feels that way. Yeah, sure, everyone feels a little guilty, but that's not the point. The point is, Kody is trying to work through it and figure out how he can do better for the other kids. Maybe fixing things with Garrison wouldn't have changed his path, but Kody would have been more at peace with himself. Instead, Robyn brushes it off like it's no big deal, almost as if she's encouraging him to avoid the tough stuff. And that's the problem. By doing that, Robyn's preventing Kody from fully processing his feelings. She's letting him stay complacent about his relationships with his kids. And most importantly, she's stopping him from reflecting on his mistakes and actually learning from them. But hey, on a completely unrelated note, her walking out with a purple Stanley bottle? Hilarious, totally random, but it made me chuckle. Now, the conversation between Janelle and Carrie felt so real, so raw. It wasn't just a conversation. It was grief, hope, and acceptance all rolled into one. The way they talked about Garrison felt authentic, like real sisters reflecting on the loss of someone they loved. Compared to Kody and Robyn, it made their exchange seem stiff and forced, almost like a scripted reenactment. I didn't hear Kody say, I'm going to do things differently. And honestly, Janelle seems at peace because she knows she did all she could for Garrison. But Kody is still struggling because he knows there was more he could have done. What's unfortunate is that, from what we can see, it doesn't seem like Garrison's death has motivated Kody to change the way he handles things with his other kids. Now, I'm not saying I'm a Robyn apologist, far from it. But let's be real here. We're only seeing a couple of minutes of what was probably a heavily edited conversation. Robyn wasn't inserting herself too much, which honestly was the right call. She just let Kody talk. But let's be clear, this was filmed months after Garrison had passed. More of a reenactment for the cameras than an actual emotional breakthrough. Doing a rewatch, and wow, I'm honestly still shocked. It never stops baffling me how completely delusional they were about my sister wives' closet. Seriously, who thought this was going to be their main source of income? I can't wrap my head around it. They launched it right in the middle of trying to fix their credit scores, clear debts, and, oh yeah, build a cul-de-sac. From the name of the business to the sketches, the ridiculous prices, and the tacky designs, how did they think this was going to succeed? It's mind-blowing how clueless they, looking at you, Robyn, were from the start. Did they even have a real business plan? The only person who seemed to have any sense was Janelle. Honestly, I never understood why they didn't just start a moving company instead. It was clearly their greatest skill. This is when I started losing respect for Robyn. She didn't value anyone's input or ideas, yet somehow blamed everyone else for not working hard enough. This was the first time I noticed how she couldn't take any accountability and how she got downright nasty with the OG3 when things didn't go her way. Ah, the Meri conundrum. You're in season 14, episode 14, so you're not even at the peak of the Meri drama yet, but I can see why you're confused. People love to hate on her, and honestly, I get it. Sometimes she comes across as a bit much. But here's the thing, it's easy to miss the context. First off, let's acknowledge that Kody has really been giving her the cold shoulder for ages. And not just a little cold shoulder, this is like the Arctic Circle of neglect. Now, yeah, I get it. Meri's not exactly a walk in the park. She can be blunt, she's honest, sometimes too honest, and she definitely doesn't sugarcoat things. But the whole catfishing thing, it's like an ultimate I've hit rock bottom moment. The fact that she was duped by some random person online says a lot about how emotionally starved she was after being basically ignored by Kody for so long. This wasn't just an innocent mistake. It was a cry for something more, anything more, because let's face it, her relationship with Kody was about as warm as a freezer. What I think a lot of people miss is that Meri has had the worst hand dealt to her out of all the wives. She's been in this polygamy mess since she was a teenager, trying to make it work despite being sidelined by Kody and clearly unhappy. But here's the kicker. She's come out of it. She's not making excuses anymore. She's realizing the truth and finally taking control of her life. And I think that deserves credit. I'm not saying she's perfect, but honestly, who in this show is? I think what's frustrating is that people focus so much on her past mistakes and forget about the emotional baggage she was dealing with. It's like, yeah, she messed up, but isn't it a little bit sad that she was so desperate for affection? She ended up in that situation, so in the end, it's less about her being a villain and more about her being a product of a really messed up situation. And maybe that's what some people are missing. She's trying, and I'm here for it. Ah, I think I've pieced this together now. So, production and Meri must have found out about Garrison's death at the same time, right? Maybe that's why we had that mid-season break. They probably needed time for the family to grieve, get their act together, and let production figure out how to handle the whole situation. It would also explain why there was such a gap if they were trying to give everyone space to process everything. Someone pointed out the scene where Kody's holding that massive military picture of Garrison. That picture was clearly taken at the new Ego Manor, based on the view out the window, and we know that place closed on October 24, 2024. So, it seems pretty likely that filming took a break somewhere between March and September/October, which aligns with the mid-season hiatus. They probably didn't have enough new footage to air, right? But here's the catch. If we didn't know about all the shuffled filming and behind-the-scenes delays, this would make sense. The timeline seems off though, like there are scenes that were filmed after Garrison's death in real life, but aired earlier on the show, like Aurora's baptism. That messes with the whole theory a bit. Also, did anyone notice that Meri was filming in the old confessional, but her reactions were filmed in the new one? That's a pretty clear sign there was a significant break between shoots. Even Mykelti and Tony were interviewed in Janelle's confessional instead of Christine's, which just shows their filming happened after the move. A lot of people are commenting on the photo too. That one was from Garrison's military memorial service, and it looks like Janelle was given the flag. I'm guessing Kody took the photo with him after the ceremony. It all adds up if you look closely. Alright, now I want to hear from you. Sound off in the comments and let me know where you stand. Agree, disagree, or something in between? And if you're enjoying the vibe, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you're always in the loop. Your voice counts, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for hanging with me.